Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, Pure Guitar Gear. Don't forget, first 1,000 subscribers. Once we hit 1,000 subs, I'm giving this away. Random raffle, all the subscribers, I'll ship it to your house for free. So subscribe and like and comment. Win this pedal, it's awesome. So what I want to talk to you guys today about is a topic that I hear a lot of newer guitar players talk about. It's about what kind of amp should I buy if I'm practicing at home and I'm not really gigging. You guys know me. I love my tube amps. I have a bunch of them. I'm always looking to buy. If you watch my new old stock tube video, you guys know how much I love tube amps. What do you get if you're living in an apartment, you got wife and kids at home, and you don't really have a space where you can get loud? You're not really gigging, but you still want to play, you still want to practice, and you still want to potentially bring something to a gig, meaning you could get the job done if you brought this type of amp. So there's a lot of really good choices out there. All the Boss stuff is great. The Boss Katana stuff I've played, it's all awesome. You have the Positive Grid stuff that's out there. And Vox makes a little tiny amp. You can get solid state amps, or you can go really, really low wattage tube amps. The problem I found with low wattage tube amps is you don't get much headroom. If you like to use pedals, you might be a little let down when you don't have that much headroom for some of these smaller watt tube amps. Greer even makes one, and it's like a 5 watt, the little mini Chief amp, which I'm sure is great, but it's not known to have a bunch of headroom. You're not going to get that out of a low wattage tube amp. It's just not going to happen. Me being an advocate for tube amps, I think everybody should have a tube amp. At the same time, you have to realize what are your applications for this amp. That being said, solid state is kind of the way to go, playing at home at low volumes and still achieving clean headroom. My choice might shock you. A solid state, I guess, modeling amp you would call it, is this. It's the Yamaha THR-10. These are fantastic. So when I was living in California, I had a small apartment with my wife, and we had a newborn at the time, and I could not crank my tube amps up, and I couldn't play. And I think at the time I had like a Bad Cat, and I had the Matchless too. And I just couldn't turn them up. They just sounded terrible. If anybody knows about Matchless, they love to be turned up loud. Matchless, please get rid of the master volume on your amps. They're not great. So I bought this, and I really, at the time, was kind of purist. I was kind of immature, really. I would look down on stuff like this. Like, oh, I got my tube amps. I don't need, a modeling amp, or I'm not going solid state. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and I couldn't be more happy. I've had this for like 3 years now, and it's fantastic. What kind of features does this amp have? So this amp, how the amp is broken down, you have a clean channel, you have a crunch channel, you have a lead channel, and then you have a high gain sound, like a brown sound. And you have full band EQ on all of those. You could save your settings and recall them at any time. Has master volume, gain, and it comes also with about 7 different effects. So you have hall reverb, spring reverb, echo, delay, phaser, tremolo, chorus, and flanger. So you basically have all your pedals covered. The only thing that kind of stinks is you can't flip between those via like a foot switch or like, a button or anything. You kind of have to turn the knob, and that increases level of that effect that you want. Another cool thing about this amp is you can record. So it's also an interface. You can record USB right out of this into your DAW, whatever you're using. At the time, I was using GarageBand. It sounded great. I'll post some recordings of what I actually recorded with this thing. It was kind of mind-blowing. It takes pedals well. Like, it takes guitar pedals great, especially overdrive. It has a headphone in. It has an aux in. You can connect your phone Bluetooth, put the headphones on, play it along to songs, learn the songs. It's just an all-around fantastic amp. This is the amp that I play more than my other big tube amps. I mean, yeah, I gig with my tube amps and I rehearse with my tube amps, but this Yamaha THR-10 sits on my end table in my living room. I just leave it there because it looks kind of cool too. And you can also use it as a Bluetooth speaker. So it literally just sits upstairs, and I usually keep a guitar upstairs, and I plug it in, turn it up a little bit. Sounds great. And the reverb and the effects in this thing, they sound awesome. So I'm going to do a little demo for you guys just to hear what this thing sounds like. and you should really check it out. I've kind of been toying around with the idea of like, man, I wonder if I could take this thing out and, you know, gig with it. Like I could mic it up and run that to front of house and then just have this as like a monitor, like really low stage volume. I might actually try that one time, because if it can do that and handle that, it would be the best. It's this big. It weighs nothing. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, and I'm going to leave you with some sounds here, and you should definitely check this thing out.